The Happiest Man on Death Row, the true story of Joe Arridy. Joe Arridy was born in 1915, in the steel town of Pueblo, Colorado, to Syrian immigrant parents who spoke little English and worked hard just to survive, but Joe would never learn the names of the streets or the shape of letters. His mind remained fixed in a world that was soft and slow, like a child's. At age 10, teachers noticed he couldn't answer the simplest questions. He laughed when he didn't understand, and cried when they pressed him too hard. His IQ was estimated at 46. The mind of a 6-year-old trapped in a man's growing body. And so, they sent him away, to the state home for the feeble-minded in Grand Junction, a place meant to be safe, but full of shadows. He wandered sometimes. That's how it all began. In the summer of 1936, Joe left the state home, boarded a freight train, and drifted aimlessly through Colorado. He didn't have a plan. He never did, just a smile, and a love for toy trains and shiny things. When police in Cheyenne, Wyoming, found him walking alone by the rail yard, he told them he liked trains. He was friendly, childlike. They offered him food, and he smiled. Then they asked if he had done anything bad, and Joe said yes, though he didn't know what they meant. 2 weeks earlier, a horrific crime had shaken Pueblo. On a warm August night, 2 sisters, Dorothy and Barbara Drain, had been attacked in their own home. Dorothy, age 15, was raped and murdered with a hatchet. Her 12-year-old sister survived with head injuries. The town was furious, and frightened. Police arrested a man named Frank Aguilar, a former WPA worker recently fired by the girl's father. He confessed, and police found a hatchet in his home, but it wasn't enough, they wanted more. When officers in Wyoming heard about the crime, they began asking Joe about it, slowly, with leading questions. And Joe, eager to please, said yes to nearly everything. He said he was there, said he saw blood, said he used a hatchet, but when asked where, he pointed at the wrong places. When asked what a hatchet looked like, he couldn't answer. Still, Pueblo police rushed to Wyoming and brought him back. At the jail, Joe smiled and waved at strangers. He played with his food, laughed when the guards called his name. The sheriff said he was the most cheerful prisoner he'd ever met. But the confession had already been recorded, and even though it didn't match Aguilar's story, even though Joe had no connection to the Drain family, even though he couldn't describe the scene correctly, they charged him with first-degree murder. Joe didn't understand the trial. He thought it was a game. His lawyer, Gail Ireland, begged the court to recognize Joe's mental state, called doctors who explained that Joe couldn't distinguish fact from fantasy, that he'd repeat anything to gain approval. But the prosecution played the tape again and again, a child's voice, coached and soft, saying, "I was there," and the jury believed it. After 2 hours of deliberation, they returned the verdict. Death by gas chamber. Warden Roy Best was a hard man, known for his harsh discipline and his cold demeanor. But something about Joe changed him. He watched this boy man eat ice cream and play with a toy train on the prison floor, watched him laugh when the other inmates cried. Joe never cried, not once, not even when he saw the execution chamber being prepared. He just asked the warden if he could keep his toy train until morning, and the warden said yes. As the days passed, attorney Gail Ireland kept fighting, filing appeal after appeal. He argued that executing someone who didn't understand life or death was not justice, it was cruelty. The courts rejected him, one by one. Colorado's governor granted a temporary stay, then rescinded it. And Joe, unaware, played with his train and sang nursery songs to himself in the cell. The night before his execution, the guards brought him steak and mashed potatoes, ice cream, and his favorite treat, banana pudding. He ate it slowly, savoring every bite, then went to sleep on his cot, holding his toy. Outside the cell, grown men wept. The warden paced the hall, lighting cigarette after cigarette. Joe's innocence wasn't just suspected anymore, it was almost certain. Because by now, Frank Aguilar had confessed in full, alone. His prints matched, the weapon was found in his home. He had motive, opportunity, and no alibi. But Joe Arridy had nothing but his smile. At dawn on January 6, 1939, Joe was led to the gas chamber. The chaplain held his hand. Joe asked if he was going to see his toy train again. He didn't resist, didn't beg, didn't understand. As the cyanide pellets dropped into the acid tray below his feet, he looked up and smiled. His final words were not recorded, because there were none. He didn't speak. He simply stared at the ceiling as the mist rose around him. Outside, in the cold morning air, the prison flag was lowered to half-mast, not by order, but by grief. Warden Best later told reporters, "I hope God knows, I didn't want to do it." He kept Joe's toy train in a drawer until the day he died. Decades passed, and the world forgot, but not everyone. Gail Ireland's children grew up hearing about Joe, and when they became lawyers themselves, they vowed to clear his name. In 2011, after more than 70 years, Colorado Governor Bill Ritter issued a full posthumous pardon, declaring that Joe Arridy had been wrongfully executed. "There is no question," he said, "that Joe Arridy was innocent." Today, Joe's grave lies in Woodpecker Hill, beneath the high prison walls in Cannon City. The headstone reads simply, "Here lies an innocent man." And above it, etched into the stone, is a tiny train. You've opened the vault. Not all who do, return the same. Leave your echo behind. With a like, a comment, a whisper shared. And before the flame fades, subscribe.